Have you ever heard your name, but no one was there? A soundless pull in your chest. A moment that stopped time. You brushed it off. You moved on. But what if it wasn't your mind playing tricks? What if it was something sacred? Today, we'll ask what few dare to wonder out loud. Why are angels whispering to you right now? And more importantly, what happens if you finally listen? Have you ever felt someone calling your name, though no one was there? Not a voice from the outside, but from deep within. A soft pull in your chest, a quiet turning of the soul. It happens in moments we rarely talk about, those pauses between breaths, when the world goes silent for a second too long. You weren't imagining it. You weren't going crazy. That whisper wasn't from your thoughts. It wasn't anxiety. It was something older, something gentler. Scripture says, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. But how can we be still when everything demands our attention? The noise outside, the pressure inside, the fear of not being enough, always pushing, always pulling. And yet, stillness is where God speaks, and whispers are where angels begin. A woman once shared this story. She was about to cross a busy intersection when something unseen held her back. Not a hand, not a sound, just a heaviness in her chest that stopped her mid-step. A truck sped past, running the red light. She would have died, but someone whispered without words, "Wait. This is how heaven speaks. Not with thunder, but with restraint. Not with fire, but with a feather. Perhaps that's why you're here right now. Perhaps this moment, quiet, simple, is not random at all. Perhaps your soul has already heard something. A breath, a nudge, a message not meant for your ears, but for your heart. God speaks in whispers not because he is far, but because he is close, so close, only a quiet soul can hear. If your life has been loud lately, if the days feel heavy and the nights longer than they used to be, it may not be because something is wrong. It may be that you are being called. A gentle whisper, a sacred pause. Don't rush past it. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps us a lot. Thank you. Angels do not shout. They do not storm in, demand attention, or shake the ground beneath your feet. They whisper, because heaven respects your will. Their voices are not made to overpower. They are sent to invite, to awaken something ancient in you that already knows what is true. And that's why you must listen with more than ears. You must listen with longing. There's a reason why whispers reach the heart more deeply than noise, because only those who truly want to hear will. There was a man who once said he kept seeing the same number again and again, on clocks, on receipts, on road signs. He laughed it off at first, coincidence, but it wouldn't stop. One day, he searched the number in Scripture. What he found made him cry. It was the exact passage his grandmother used to pray over him when he was a child. She'd been gone for years. He hadn't thought of her in a decade. But angels hadn't forgotten. He realized then it wasn't just a number. It was a message, a memory, a divine reminder that even when he forgets, heaven never does. This is what whispers do. They unlock what is buried. They remind us of the voice we silenced because the world was too loud or life too painful. Sometimes that whisper comes when you're about to give up. It doesn't sound like a command. It sounds like mercy, like something breathing beside you saying, "Not yet. Please, not yet." There are moments when you're standing still, yet feel movement around you. You're alone, but your spirit knows it's not alone. Something watches, not to harm, but to hold. Scripture says, "He will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." Psalm 91:11. But to be guarded, you must first slow down enough to notice. You see, angels don't need your attention. They want your openness. They are not here to impress you. They are here to remind you you are still seen, still guided, still loved. And sometimes that's all you need to keep breathing. So if you've been feeling a nudge you can't explain, or a longing you can't define, don't dismiss it. That may be a whisper. That may be the beginning of your return. It doesn't always feel like a voice. In fact, when angels speak, it rarely sounds like words. It's more like a knowing, a deep, quiet recognition that something has just passed through you, like warmth settling in your chest for no reason. Or the way you suddenly remember a person you haven't thought of in years, just seconds before they call. That is no coincidence. When angels whisper, they leave behind traces, not like footprints in the sand, but like ripples in still water. You don't see where it came from, but you feel the shift. The moment is different. You are different. Some people feel it through repeated signs, numbers, symbols, patterns that keep reappearing. They try to reason it away at first, but the patterns persist, not just to catch your attention, but to awaken your awareness. A woman once told the story of her darkest hour. She had packed her bags. Her mind was made up. She was ready to end everything. But just before she left, a song came on the radio, one she hadn't heard in years. It was her mother's favorite hymn. Her mother, long past, used to sing it to her during storms. The lyrics played clearly, "Be still and know that I am near." She broke down, sobbing. Not from sadness, but because something sacred had entered the room. She didn't go. She stayed. And she's alive today to tell others that angels don't always come in shining robes. Sometimes they arrive in a melody. Others speak of dreams. Dreams so vivid, so precise, that they feel more like visits than memories. One man saw his late brother standing beside a lighthouse. The brother said nothing, only pointed to the sky. The next day, the man found the strength to check himself into recovery. It was the anniversary of his brother's death. Was it just his subconscious? Or was it mercy wrapped in mystery? Sometimes, the whisper comes through people, strangers you've never met who say exactly what your soul needed to hear. A cashier, a neighbor, a child who looks at you and smiles when you are on the verge of falling apart. These are not just people. These are vessels, messengers, carriers of the voice of God in the softest disguise. But here is the truth. The whisper is not rare. The listening is. Angels are not waiting for perfect silence or perfect faith. They're waiting for your heart to stop running, just long enough to be still. And in that stillness, you will hear it, you will feel it, and you will know you are never walking alone. God does not always speak from the clouds. He does not always part seas or send fire from the sky. Most of the time, he whispers. And when he whispers, he sends angels, not because he is distant, but because he is near. So near, his voice would overwhelm you if it came too loud. God's purpose has never been to frighten the human heart into obedience. His desire is intimacy, not fear. He sends angels because they carry his tenderness. They don't shout to break your will. They whisper to lift your soul. They come when your knees are weak. They come when the path ahead looks dark. They come when the world has grown too heavy to carry. And they don't always change the world around you. Sometimes they simply steady your hands so you can keep walking through it. A nurse once sat alone in her car, overwhelmed after a 14-hour shift in the ICU. The weight of life and death had crushed her spirit. As she cried, she heard a knock on the window. An elderly woman smiled gently and said, "You're not alone." Heaven saw today. She walked away before the nurse could respond. There were no other cars in the lot. The woman had vanished. And yet, in that moment, the nurse felt lifted, as if the exhaustion in her bones had been exchanged for light. This is how God moves, quietly, precisely, through vessels, through whispers, through small encounters that carry eternal weight. Scripture tells us in Hebrews 1:14, Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit a salvation? They serve. They do not demand. They walk beside you with hands open, not fists clenched. They guide you back, not with force, but with faithfulness. God uses angels not to replace himself, but to remind you of him, to call you back to what your spirit once knew but forgot, to open your eyes to the truth that was always in front of you, that you are loved, that your life is not random, that your cries are not lost in the wind. If you've been waiting for a sign, perhaps it's already been sent, not in thunder, but in stillness, not in miracles you can see, but in the moments you feel something shift, and you don't know why. That's not emptiness, that's God, reaching through the noise, through the doubt, through the dark, and saying, I still see you. And he sends angels to say it again, gently, again and again, until you remember how to believe. There is a reason you are hearing this now, not months ago, not years before, but in this moment, exactly where you are. Sometimes we imagine that God's timing is random, or that perhaps he waits until we are worthy or prepared or strong enough to receive his message. But in truth, heaven's timing is never accidental. It is always precise. You might wonder, why would angels whisper to you right now? Why not in another season, when life felt easier, or your faith felt stronger? The answer is not found in the ease of your days, but in the hunger of your heart. Whispers are sent not to those who are the loudest, but to those who are finally quiet enough to listen. Perhaps you are here because something in your life has shifted. A door closed, a plan unraveled. Maybe you have been brought to a pause, not by choice, but by circumstance. An illness, a loss, a disappointment, a loneliness you did not expect. In these moments, the soul is softer, more porous, more open to the possibility of hope. And so the message comes, not to condemn your weakness, but to cradle it. Not to answer every question, but to sit with you in the silence, so you no longer have to sit alone. There's a passage in Revelation 3:20. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me. God does not break down the door. He does not shout from the street. He knocks. He waits. He knows that the most sacred invitations are not forced. They are received. This may be a season of unraveling, but it is also a season of invitation. God's whisper, through angels, is a gentle tap on your shoulder. Now is the time. Not because you are ready, but because you are real. Because you have run out of ways to fix things yourself. Because you are honest enough, at last, to need something beyond yourself. Sometimes, healing can only happen when the world grows quiet enough for you to hear the voice that has been calling all along. Not the voice of regret or shame or fear, but the voice that says, come home. It's safe here. You are still wanted. You are not late. You have not missed your chance. The invitation stands, tender and constant, waiting for you to finally listen, so that you may receive what you've been searching for, even when you couldn't name it. And that is why, in this very moment, the whisper arrives. It comes because the door is open now, perhaps for the first time in a long while. There are moments when words are too small, when the weight in your chest cannot be named, only felt, when you reach for prayer, not as a ritual, but as a lifeline, and all you can manage is a whisper, or a breath, or a tear. And still, that is enough, because God never required eloquence. He only asked for truth. And truth, when spoken from the soul, sounds like surrender. So now, let the silence be a doorway, not a void. Let the stillness become the space where your heart begins to answer. You don't have to know how. You don't have to say the perfect words. Just let it begin, Father. If you are here, and I believe you are, then hear me now. I don't have strength to pretend anymore. I am tired of carrying what I was never meant to carry, tired of hiding what you already see, tired of running in circles, chasing peace but never finding rest. So I stop, right here, right now, and I say, "Speak, Lord. I am listening, even if I've ignored you, even if I've silenced you with my fears, even if I've looked for comfort in everything but you. Still, I want to hear you now. Let your whisper find its way through the noise. Let your angels surround what is broken in me, not to fix me in an instant, but to hold me long enough that I stop breaking more. I don't need a miracle I can touch. I need a mercy I can trust, a quiet assurance that I am not alone in this shadow, that someone walks with me, that you are here, that you have always been here. Teach me how to hear again, not with ears, but with spirit, not with logic, but with love. Help me to recognize the voice I've been drowning out, the presence I've mistaken for coincidence, the comfort I once called chance. If you are whispering, let me lean in. If you are near, let me stay. I don't ask for answers, only that you remain. And if I cannot speak, if all I can do is breathe and sit in this space with you, let that be enough. For you are the God who sees in secret, who speaks in silence, who loves without requirement, and stays without condition. So this is my prayer, not shouted, not rehearsed, just honest, just mine. Let me hear you, let me feel you, and when you speak again, may I never mistake your whisper for anything less than love.